did you discover that it was 100% emotional, basically the opposite of logic and rational, and that it was coming from a different part of the brain? We don't even think about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think to understand that, we have to talk a little bit about the brain and how particularly the subconscious develops. So you may know this already, but most people don't get an owner's manual when they're born, right? So most people don't know that when you're born, your brain is in theta. So theta brainwaves is like good sleep, yoga, that kind of thing. And we're 100% open. It's like a sponge brain. So when you're young, every single thing that you see, hear, everything that happens to you, anything someone tells you goes right into your brain and gets written there and programmed there as absolute truth. So if it's someone's opinion or someone says something nasty to you, it's recorded as that's just what is. It's a fact. And then around the age like 12, 13, we switch to beta waves, and that's like adult functioning waves where we close off and we decide that we have learned everything we need to know. Sound like a teenager?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
from that point, we're supposed to be an adult, yes, but adult supervise our brain. So what that means is that our conscious mind is supposed to take a look at what's coming out of the subconscious and say, I wonder if that's true. I wonder if that's complete information. Does that work for me? But we don't know to do that. And so that was my journey, was learning, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and decades of my life, learning, first of all, how to basically x-ray my own brain, and now others, of course, for the last couple decades, but to get an x-ray to know what's going on. You know, if you don't know what's going on, you can't fix anything. So we want a clear picture of what's really happening with what's happened to you, with your emotions, with your thoughts. You know, what's the stuff that's driving you to eat or driving you to control or, you know, driving you to spend money or drink alcohol too much? You know, what is that? And then investing in the processes and the tools to be able to rewire that.
And if you can touch on this a little bit, is what did you do personally to work on the emotional eating for you and the addiction for yourself?
You know, I first had to take like the x-ray. And so we really call that targeting. I had to find, you know, the map of what was going on in there, because I could see that I was controlling my addiction and my eating by controlling my eating. So I was swinging between, you know, eating to comfort myself and all those emotions when I was very unconscious or doing the subconscious stuff. And then I was controlling my food and making it perfect. Because in my head, if I ate perfect food, that equaled a perfect body, right? Then I would escalate and go to, I'm only going to eat 500 calories for the next 2 years. So obviously I got into eating disorder territory and got really thin. And then eventually, you know, your body out of self-preservation. This is a perfect example of the subconscious and the conscious mind. Your conscious mind does not want to eat a bag of potato chips, and it has decided not to. But late at night when you're tired and you can't sleep because you're feeling stress and all this pain because you're alone with it, and you're sitting down on your bed, all of a sudden you realize you've just eaten half a bag of potato chips, and part of you is surprised. Well, that's the conscious mind that's surprised. The subconscious is not surprised. And it does 95% of the driving. So it's no surprise the subconscious wins, because your conscious mind only has 5% to defend itself with, right? And that's why it's important to learn how to work them together. And to go back to your question, you know, what were the strategies I used for myself? After you target in the subconscious, then you want to move into processing. And then there's a final third step, and that one's actually my favorite because other people don't do this. And this is where you have to have a strategy to continually teach your subconscious to do what you just told it to do. Make sense? Because it has an old program and you're removing it, but you've got to put a new one back in. And we can talk about that a little bit more, but it's really those 3 steps. And really all of the time and effort that I've invested for me and my clients has really honed in those 3 steps. And I've never seen it last long term without all three.
And I'm just thinking in my mind, all three, that third step, like you got to do that probably every day, because you're untraining 30 plus years, 40 plus years of wiring that's locked in. And, you know, you got to carve a new path in a way, is what you're saying. And you got to, that's every day, right?
Well, you're laying down, new neural pathways, but you'll be surprised once you get the old one out of the way. It's a lot easier to put in a new one. It doesn't take as much effort, and it does become more automatic over time. So
Right.
It's not such an emphasis, and it doesn't take like all this push or startup energy. It's more natural because you changed you from the inside. And so you naturally want to do that now, instead of, I have to remind myself, I have to do it. I have to overcome something every day just to make myself do that. It doesn't feel that way anymore. It's easier than what they were doing in the first place.
That's big.